We learned for a whole year. We're not going to have to review and study for it.
Notice.
We're done studying, been there, done that.
We'll
No,
see.
we're not done. We're not done studying. We're done being tested.
Yeah.
Right.
We're tested every day, Seema, aren't we?
And we also have to know
Yeah.
where to find the answers.
How true.
The answer, we're not
We'll come
supposed
up with
to.
something.
So I'm still I'm recording and
Great.
And we're
I'm still
muting.
hosting.
We're muting.
Yeah, well, everybody
Now
mute.
we're going on a teal.
Everybody. A seal would
And
be
we are
good.
going on a teal. Okay, so you're recording? Okay, we are going to Ir David.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you allow me to enable screen sharing, please, Hillary? Hillary, can I screen share, please?
Yes, yes. Just give me a second.
Thank you.
It always takes me hours to do these things because I
I
don't
know,
know
it takes me time also. Don't worry about it.
Oh, there he is. There you go. More. Allow. I've got allow host. I had this last time. How do I do it? I can do you make host, which is fine, but how do I do you stop?
Last meaning is you can only make him a host, Hillary.
Okay, he can be a host.
Sometimes I'm a host also, you know. And
Yeah, I made you the host. I gave you the hosting.
Okay, I'm the host.
Okay.
I'm the host. Fine.
And
now
I'm
I can
still
share
recording though, so it's okay.
Okay, so last on Shavuot was David HaMelech's Yortzeit. So we are going to do something in his honor, the Ir David. Let's see, where can I find it? Share screen. So see, it takes me a while to find how to even find the screen. Where are you, screen?
Don't worry, we're not better at this.
Screen, advanced, files. Yes.
I can do share screen, but I don't know why you can't. You're the host now.
No, I'm allowed to. Here, okay. Now it didn't come up before, and now it should come up. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to go here. Okay. So we are going on a short tiyul to Ir David, learn about something related to Kibush Yerushalayim. I will stop it and explain things along the way. Here we go. Let's make it full screen, and let's also share the share computer sound. Okay, here we go.
לפני כ3,000 שנה נמשך דוד בן ישי למלך ישראל. זו הייתה ראשיתה של מלכות בית דוד. דוד מחליט כי ירושלים, השוכנת בלב ליבם של שבטי ישראל, תהיה עיר הבירה של ממלכתו. אבל ירושלים היא עיר כנענית חזקה ומאיימת. ועד ימי דוד לא הצליח אף שבט להשתלט עליה. כעת, בביטחון רב, מתבצרים בה היבוסים. הם נערכים ללא חשש על חומות העיר. אל מולם ניצב דוד, המלך הצעיר. הוא נחוש בדעתו. הפעם ירושלים חייבת להיכבש.
Okay, so David wants to capture Yerushalayim, and Yerushalayim is a Yevusi city, a Yevusit, Yevusit, a very powerful Canaanim. And the question is how he's going to do that. If you also see from the picture, they're in the valley, and Yerushalayim is Harim, is on the Har. And it's very, very difficult to capture a city that's on the Har.
אני עומד על המדרון המזרחי של עיר דוד. כאן בשנת 1995 מצאו הארכיאולוגים פרופסור רוני רייך ואלי שוקרון שרידים של מגדל ענק שנבנה על ידי הכנענים לפני כ4,000 שנה. האבנים האלה, שכל אחת מהן שוקלת מספר רב של טונות, הן חלק ממגדל עצום שנבנה ממש כאן בסמוך למעיין הגיחון.
לא יבוא דוד הנה!
היבוסים לועגים לדוד ומציבים על חומות העיר אנשים עיוורים ופסחים. המסר ברור, העיר כל כך חזקה שאפילו עיוורים ופסחים יוכלו בקלות להגן עליה.
דוד מבין שבדרכים...
Okay, so it's brought down in Sefer Shmuel that Yevusim put the Ivrim, they put blind and lame people to protect the city because they were so confident that there is no way with this tremendous Migdal protecting Yerushalayim that in the valley, which is going to be Ir David, they could possibly capture, and it didn't matter who was going to be there. So the question is, how is David going to capture Yerushalayim?
מקובלות, הוא לא יצליח לכבוש את העיר. פה צריך לחשוב מחוץ לקופסה. בראש שלו כבר נרקמת מזימה.
את המשרה הבכירה של ראש הצבא הוא מבטיח כפרס לחייל שיעז להתנדב למשימה הקשה והמסוכנת.
So he's going to be whoever volunteers to do the following mission, he will, and is successful, well, if he lives through it, he will become the Minister of Defense, the Sar Tzava of David's army.
היחיד שנענה לאתגר הוא יואב בן צרויה, חייל נועז וקשוח. אבל מהי המשימה? בתוך דברי דוד מופיעות שתי מילים מסתוריות. ויגע בצינור. מהו הצינור אליו התכוון דוד? כעבור אלפי שנים התגלתה תגלית מרתקת ששפכה אור על חידת הצינור. בשנת 1867 זכה לארכיאולוג קפטן צ'ארלס וורן במנהרה תת-קרקעית הסמוכה למעיין הגיחון. במרחק של כ-20 מטרים מהמעיין גילה וורן פיר אנכי שהזדקר מעל ראשו לגובה של 13 מטרים. במאמץ רב טיפס וורן והגיע לראש הפיר. שם גילה לתדהמתו שהמנהרה מטפסת בתלילות אל תוך העיר.
So the Canaanim had built all these tunnels underneath Yerushalayim in order to get water from the Gihon and other springs to Yerushalayim. That was one of the problems that we have throughout history is the cities, how did they get water within the city when the wells of water are really outside the city? So there were all these tunnels that were uncovered in 1867 by Captain Charles Warren, and which now they are still excavating in Ir David, all these tunnels.
אורן הבין מיד שלפניו מפעל מים סודי שנבנה לפני אלפי שנים. התכנון היה מתוחכם ביותר. הכנענים ידעו שנקודת התורפה של איראן היא המעיין שנמצא מחוץ לחומות העיר.
הם הקימו סביב המעיין מבצר אדיר, ובעמל רב חצבו מנהרה תת-קרקעית היורדת מתוך העיר אל המעיין המבוצר.
And they built a wall around this spring of Gihon, so they could always have a supply of water in the city.
דוד מגלה את מפעל המים הקדום. זה הצינור.
הוא שולח את יואב בן צרויה להסתנן דרכו אל תוך העיר. כשיואב מגיח אל פני הקרקע, הוא דוהר לעבר שערי העיר. החיילים היבוסים אינם מבחינים בו. יואב מגיע לשערי העיר ובכל כוחו פותח אותם. לפני שהיבוסים מבינים מה אירע, חיילי דוד פורצים על העיר וכובשים אותה בסערה. וילכוד דוד את מצודת ציון, היא עיר דוד.
What happened, of course, here is that they were able to capture Yerushalayim through those tunnels, which we have the scout which is excavating today, those exact tunnels. They've made them now more accessible, etc., so that you could see them, and it's fascinating the understanding two words of the Tanakh based on archaeological findings, how everything makes a lot more sense. The Warren's Pier, if you've heard of, that's exactly what we're talking about. All these tunnels And that's one of the things that they show in Ir David, if you're able to go there. So that was our tiyul for today. It was more indoors, because the tunnels are all indoors. Okay, what's today's topic? So I've been planning, so it looks like we have like around 3 shiurim today, next week, and then the following week is our graduation, another shiur, and we're going to be learning about the bracha of Shehecheyanu, and there, which has a lot of aspects to it. Yeah, go ahead. Question? Unmute.
It got stuck.
What got stuck? Is everybody hearing me? Okay, I can see
I
the.
can, but I don't know if everybody
I
else
hear
can.
you. Yes, I hear you.
Okay, so we're going to be learning about Shehecheyanu, a lot of aspects of the mitzvah of the bracha of Shehecheyanu. Today we're going to focus on the fruits, and next week we'll focus on other things, and we'll finish up for the last year all the other parts about Shehecheyanu, which may even relate to Corona as well. We'll have to see how that's connected. Okay, so let's go to our PowerPoint, and here is the Birkat Bracha Shehecheyanu. So we find in the halacha that there are 6 mikrim, there's 6 cases where you make a Shehecheyanu. The first one is on Chagim. We make a Shehecheyanu. We just had Shavuot in the Kiddush or in the lighting candles. We make a Shehecheyanu. Number 2, mitzvot. When the person does a certain mitzvah, for example, shofar, sukkah, lulav, you also make a Shehecheyanu. Or when you buy chafatzim of mitzvah, when you buy a new tzitzit, a new mezuzah, also we find by Brit Milah, Pidyon Haben, these are mitzvot that we do once in a while and make a Shehecheyanu on them. There was a whole discussion about weddings. We're not going to get into that right now. Maybe we will in the future. I'm not sure yet. And then the most common was a new fruit. That's what's called mitchadesh mizman lizman. That has different, it becomes renewed from time to time. We'll have to understand what that is. That's going to be the focus of today's shiur. If you see a friend that you're happy to see, that you haven't seen for 30 days, you can make a Shehecheyanu. We'll have to get into that. We will get into that, God willing, in the future weeks. And then the kinyan sherochesh adam mesamech. Well, a person buys a new car, they can make a Shehecheyanu on it, a new couch. Al shmuat tova shnitbaseh. Here's the good news. He hears his stocks all of a sudden rose in price. He could also make a Shehecheyanu. So here I ask the question: what is the difference between Aleph and Bet, these 2, versus all the others, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav? In other words, what is the difference between making a Shehecheyanu either on a Yom Tov or on a mitzvah versus making a Shehecheyanu when you have a new fruit, when you buy a new dress, when you hear good news, when you see a friend? Can anyone try to answer that question?
Well,
It's personal.
It's personal.
I was going to say the first 2 happen anyway. They're going to happen whether you want them to or not. The moed comes. If you don't make a Shehecheyanu, that's your avera, not anything else. And if you get to hear shofar and you go in the sukkah anyway, it's there. It's a time-bound whatever.
Okay.
The others, nobody's forcing you to eat those cherries, right?
Very nice. Perfect. In other words, the first 2 are, we call chovah. In other words, Yom Tov comes, Rosh Hashanah comes, you got to make a Shehecheyanu on it, lighting the candles and the Kiddush, on the shofar, etc. You don't want to eat apricots that are just became, or grapes, whatever. Okay, don't eat them. You don't like them, you don't have to eat them. So we have a difference between the mitzvah that we have to do, or a Yom Tov that comes whether we want it to come or not, versus all the others. If you're not happy to see your friend, you want to stay in Bidud and not go see your friends, so you don't have to make a Shehecheyanu. You don't want to buy any new car or a new dress or new anything. You want to make a Shehecheyanu. The idea, which Hillary said correctly, is between a chovah versus a reshut. Okay, somebody had a question?
Yeah, I have something I want to say, is that, like in some ways a Shehecheyanu is like, there's these spaces in time that are sanctified, and saying Shechianu is like acknowledging that they're sanctified to you also, to like personalize it. And I think for some of them, like seeing a friend, a new fruit, a new article of something tangible that you have, it's almost as if you're saying, this is also from Hashem, and I'm going to elevate that for me personally. Could you understand?
I think I understand, even though you didn't come in 100% clearly, but you're saying they're all different ways to praise Hashem. But once again, these two, the first two are more of a obligation, whether you feel the simcha or not. The other ones are more that a person, if he wants to do it, he could do it. But I hear what you're saying as well. I always think there's another distinction in the next slide, if you see that we can differentiate between even between the bottom four, the Riyat Chaver, seeing a friend or buying something, or hearing good news. How can we differentiate between them as well? The bracha in other words, that I will only make a bracha on my friend if I'm happy to see him. If I'm not happy to see him, I won't make a bracha. But if I'm not happy to have this new whatever car or whatever, I will make a bracha. It's a function of the simcha that I have. However, I see in a moment that having new fruit, it's an opportunity to make a shechianu, whether I am happy specifically that I'm now eating these new plums or not. It's not a halacha in my specific happiness. This is more obvious when it comes to friend, but also when it comes to fruit. And we'll see the next slide, there was a question or a hara. Sound keeps fading out. Is it my sound or is...
Or sound, because it happens to a few of us.
sound.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I will try to, I brought the computer a little closer to me to see if that helps in any way. Okay, so here is a fascinating, the next slide is a fascinating Taz, is one of the Perushim on the Shulchan Aruch. We learned the Taz. He writes as follows. Ita Yerushalmi, it's brought down in the Gemara, the Talmud Yerushalmi, Parak Yud, the 10th parak of Yuchsim, which is in Baba Batra. It says as follows, Yishmu anavim v'yismachu. Amar Rabbi Bon, Atid Adam litain din v'cheshbon al shera'a minei megadim v'lo achal. If you have an opportunity to praise Hashem for fruits that have now become in season and the K'mech HaShechianu on, you have an obligation to do so. It's not saying it's the same chovah as hearing shofar, but there is some sort of obligation to praise Hashem, which maybe go back to what Heidi was saying before. You have an opportunity to praise Hashem and you have to use that. You don't have to go out and buy new dresses or buy, people like to do that, I think, right? But buy new jewelry. You don't have to do that. But you have an opportunity when it comes to something in nature, praising Hashem through the nature, that is more of an obligation than it would be to buy a new car. So then there's also a difference when it comes to the first slide of the difference between the 6 cases. So we had, if I want to, where's my, I can't even write on it. I don't even know how to write anymore. Remote control writing. It doesn't matter. Okay, so that is part of the, okay. Are we recording? Are we recording? Because I don't have a message that we're recording.
According to this, it says pause, stop recording, so I assume we're recording. Yeah, okay. It says recording on my screen.
Fine. Okay, fine. Oh, I see something. Yeah, fine. Okay. So now let's go into the halachot regarding making a shechianu on fruit. Okay. So we start with the Gemara in Rav Reuven. It says as follows. V'amar Rabba, ki havina be Rav Huna. In the house of Rav Huna, we were asked, Mahu lomar zman b'Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim. do you make a Shehecheyanu on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? And what's the question? Kevan Dizman Ati Amina, because they come from time to time like the other Chagim. So you make a Shehecheyanu, or Dilma, or maybe Kevan Dilo Ikru Regalim, because they're not called a regel, it doesn't have the same level of simcha like a regular Chag. You don't say Shehecheyanu. Lo Hava Biyadeh. He didn't have an answer. We know halacha is, by the way, we make a Shehecheyanu in Rosh Hashanah, make a Shehecheyanu in Yom Kippur in Shul and on the candle lighting. Ki atai bei Rav Yehuda Amar, Ana akra chadatana mi amina zman. Even when I eat a brand new squash, I make a Shehecheyanu. So here's the first point where we find by making a bracha on a new fruit or a new vegetable, which we're going to get into vegetables in a moment. And here there's an interesting machloket, which I just brought down very quickly. Two words. When do you make the Shehecheyanu? When it comes to a new fruit, a new vegetable, Rashi says in his Gemara, when you see it, when you see the new fruit growing on the tree, or you see it in the shuk, you can make the Shehecheyanu. The Rush says you do it when you are eating. So we have a machloket in the Rishonim. How do we, Paskin, who do we go like? So the Shulchan Aruch writes as follows. Haroeh pri chadash, haroeh, you see, haroeh pri chadash, mitchadesh mishana leshana, mivarech Shehecheyanu, va'afilu ro'oihu biyad chavero o al ha'ilan. If you see your friend eating grapes and you haven't made bracha on grapes, you can make Shehecheyanu. But the minhag is not to make the bracha until you eat it. And here we have the Haggah, the Rama writes, Umi sheberach b'sha'at re'iyah, person who made the bracha when he saw the fruit on the tree, or he saw his friend had it, lo hifsid. It's fine, it's also fine. But, ein nevarech ad shenigmar tashlum gidul hapri. You only make a bracha, if you're going to make a bracha on something growing on the tree, it's only when it's ready, when it's really completed, it's completely ripe. If you didn't make the bracha when you first saw it, then you could make the bracha after. So we seem to have the discussion here is the bracha made when you eat it or when you see it? And the Mishnah Berurah, let me just finish Mishnah Berurah and I'll take questions.
Oh, sure.
The Mishnah Berurah writes, Ad shatat chila, why should we really wait until after we eat it or when we're about to eat it? Demisha end libo samech berito rak b'achilato l'chuli alma mevrech rak achilato l'chein nahagu tamid bazeh mishum lo plug. In general, if I see my friend eating a luscious plum and I am not eating it, even though it's new, I don't have the same level of simcha as if I was eating that luscious plum by myself. So therefore, it's according to this, the bracha should really be made when you eat it and not when you see it. But if you made it when you see it, you won't make a bracha then when you eat it. I can pause here for questions. Anybody who wants to open up and say, b'vakasha.
I just wanted to ask, when we say Birkat Ilanot, right, that's specifically for Re'iyah, and it's not for the fruit, it's for the, I guess, the buds, when you see the first buds of the tree.
Right, the buds of the tree, correct.
So
it's
that's the sense of vision, and then the one that we know more so, which is more common, it's like we have both, really. Or am I mixing things up here?
No, we do have, but we have one thanking Hashem for a future Perot, just that he gave us these trees that bud in Chodesh Nisan, and then you'll make, and that's one bracha on all types of trees. So that you won't make if you have apple trees and cherry trees and whatever, you won't make the different bracha. And then you have for each and every fruit when it becomes ripe, in its season, you can make a specific shechiyanu on that fruit as well.
Do
So
we
it's-
say a shechayanu for Birchat Ilanot? I don't remember.
No, it's just that it's a bracha of praising Hashem for the ilanot tovim shenoten lanu peirot. That's what the bracha is. Okay? But it's a connection to a very nice connection to that point. So here we have, going back to the seeing versus the eating, seeing is believing or seeing is eating, is a few halachot that really come out of this discussion. Look at the following points. A person had on his table a nice fruit bowl with a bunch of new fruits. Because once you see them all, if you're making a shechiyanu and you see the pomegranate, often we have on Rosh Hashanah night, we have a bunch of fruits. We have tainim or tamarim and rimonim and chavushim and all other kinds of fruits. So if you have them all on the table at the same time, according to this, and once you make the bracha on one and you're seeing all of them, you wouldn't make a shechiyanu on each and every fruit by for itself. Another point, Ra'a pri biyad chavir. If you see your friend has a new fruit or on the tree, and you can't eat it, you're allergic to pomegranates, okay? And you see your friend eating a pomegranate, and you will not eat a pomegranate. According to this, you can still make a bracha for seeing that lovely pomegranate, because the bracha there is on the seeing. Number 3 point, if you won't be able to eat this fruit you can't pick it, and you're not going to be in this town anymore when you the next day when they pick the fruit, you could still make a shechiyanu on that fruit. And here's another point which we're going to get into a little bit later on in this year. The Pri Megadim says as follows: what should you do? Do you make first the shechiyanu, or do you make first the bracha the borei pri ha'etz? What comes first? So the Pri Megadim says, Yivarech tchila shechiyanu, ve'achar kach bekat hane'enin, shaharei b'ri'iyah ra'oi levarech. What comes first? Bekat hane'enin is only when I eat it, but I can make the shechiyanu as soon as I see it. Seeing comes before eating. Therefore, the Pri Megadim says you first make the shechiyanu, and then you make the borei pri ha'etz. We're going to get to that point a little bit later on and see what really do we do, if that's true or not.
We don't follow him, right?
I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
Suspense. I am keeping you in suspense until we get to that point.
Patience.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Go ahead. Okay, hopefully it's not a klutz kasha. A person, if we have to see it before we make the bracha shechiyanu, someone who they know can't see, a person who is blind, and will be given a new fruit to eat, does he make a shechiyanu on it, even though he cannot see it?
It's an excellent question. It's not a klutz question at all. The question is, can you make the bracha even when seeing it? Okay, but you
even when
also
seeing
make
it.
But you can also for sure make it when you eat it. So if you can't see it, then you would make the bracha when you eat it. But you can maybe make the bracha, or maybe according to one opinion, maybe you should make the bracha before eating it when you see it. We have a similar idea when it comes to clothes. So we're going to discuss this. I'm jumping ahead to next week. Do you make the shechiyanu on your new dress when you buy it in a store or when you wear it? Question. Okay, I'm not answering it now, Seema. I will answer it next week. But that's a simple idea. What's the point of simcha? Is the point of simcha when I buy it, when I see it, or when I really eat it? And we know that there is a greater level of simcha when I eat it, and maybe also when I'm wearing the new dress. So therefore, there might be the reason to make the bracha when I eat it, not necessarily when I see it. There was another.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Somebody who's allergic, let's say, to most fruit, and comes Rosh Hashanah, you bring a new fruit to the table for shechiyanu. Will they can they say the Shechianu based on seeing this new fruit and still be fulfilling it on seeing that fruit as opposed to just eating it?
Yocheved, what is number 2? Right here. Ra'a pri bi'ad chavira o al ilan ve'eno yachol le'achlo mechamat baya refuit o kalkalit. Either I can't afford it or I can't eat it because I'm allergic to it. Yachol levarech shechayanu al hari'iyah. He can make a bracha on seeing it, even if I will never taste it. According to this, yes, you can. Okay, definitely you can.
Is it obvious that if you see somebody you haven't seen for a month, 4 weeks passed and we didn't see them on Zoom and we see them?
Oh, that's the corona's question. We're going to get to that as well. Okay, that's the question is seeing on Zoom seeing or is seeing on Zoom not seeing? Okay, it might depend on how good your internet connection is, but we'll get to that. Okay, let's go back to the fruits, okay? Which fruits do you make a shechiyanu on? Okay, so the Torah writes as follows, Haroeh pri chadash, mitchadesh mishana leshana. A fruit that renews itself from year to year. It has a season, it's a seasonal fruit. You make shechiyanu. B'noagim, we only make it when as we discussed, when we eat it. And we discuss this, if you do when you see it, it's fine. This is the point that I want. If I haven't eaten a carrot, let's say a carrot. Carrots are around all year long. We grow them all year long. But I haven't eaten a carrot, I haven't seen a carrot, eaten a carrot in a long time. So it's not a din in what I haven't, it's if it's a new fruit, if it's a new season for that fruit. And according to this, only if it's a new season for that fruit. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty in a moment with a lot of examples. The Beit Yosef says it's possible that really doesn't mean from year to year, because sometimes you have fruits that renew themselves. You can have some fruits that twice a year. I can't think of any examples. Produce a certain type of fruit. So he says maybe even then you can make a shechiyanu on the second time or not. That's a discussion which I don't want to get into now. I want to go into what are the fruits that we make a shechiyanu on and not? Okay, so there's a beautiful sefer called Zot HaBracha which discusses all of the things of the. And he writes as follows. He gives, so if you take examples of bananas, lemons, I get that question, chasa, pilpul, malafafon, etc. A lot of fruits and vegetables, for example, apples, they are in kirur. They're stored in. We have apples all year long. Even though there is an apple season, but we have them all year long. So, or tapuach hadama, gezer, kruv, batzal, onion, pears, tamarim. Tamarim, that we have, the dried tamarim, tapuchim, all these things. Let me just finish, I'll get to your questions. Sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, or nuts, different types of nuts, etc. And also egozim, walnuts, almonds, dried apricots, etc. Teinim, papaya, hummus, kokus. On all these things, you do not make a shechiyanu because they're around all year long. Let me just go on to the next slide, then I'll answer all your questions, okay? One more slide. The huadin al zaitim, olives. Ein mevarchim. You don't make a shechiyanu on olives. Why? Kevan she'ein hem nikarim b'chidusham. Because we have olives all year long. There are olives in canned olives. They're not fresh olives. We have them all year long. V'chen al kmehin pitriot. Different types of mushrooms. We don't make a shechiyanu because they don't have a specific time that they're right. They grow all year long. They may not even grow. They don't even really grow from the ground because By the way, the bracha on a mushroom is shahakol and not pri adama. Here's fascinating. Wine in umavech shechianu, even though you know it's from 2020's new stock or 2015's new, and it was just became out of the barrels. It was aged for 5 years. You don't make shechianu because we don't know the difference between new and old so much. And also, but poskim the mitzanavim. So, what do you make a shechianu on? Look at the next, and I put it in yellow. Af al rov sugei perot she'einam mitzuyim kol hashana b'shuk. Avocado, watermelon, peaches, guava, cherries, chavush. I don't know how to translate chavush. Lychee, mango. Okay, again, grapes, raspberries, sabras, plums, tutsadeh, strawberries. All these you make a shechianu on. Pri hadar, oranges, and clementinos, rech shechian be'onatan. Even though we have them all year round, we know that they become ripe right around Rosh Hashanah. We always have those green clementinos to make a shechianu on as well. Because if you want to use your rimon for the simanim, you can't make a shechianu on it the second night. So then you buy the green clementinos, then you also make a shechianu on. So basically, these are examples of fruits that have a season. They become ripe. They're not around all year long. Although we could buy an avim from South Africa in the middle of the winter, you can make a shechianu on the Israeli in Veitali when they become ripe right around now. Okay, questions. There have been a lot of questions, I think. Mango in Israel has multiple seasons, Tanya. I think, I don't know. I don't see any mangoes in the stores now. I think they have different types of mangoes.
They're about 3 seasons. They come out about 3 times a year.
Oh, you're talking about going back to the fruits that become ripe 3 times.
Correct.
Right, 2 times. So that might be an example of, according to the Shulchan Aruch, you can make a shechianu on each one.
Okay.
I have a question.
Questions,
I have
go ahead.
a question. On Rosh Hashanah, we always have apples, as a shechianu. We eat apples all year, and I never understood that.
I don't make a shechianu on the apples. You make an apple, you make a hiratzon because of it. Dip the apple in the honey, but that's not because it's shechianu. The shechianu should really be on your rimon or on your clementino.
We have pineapple because we never have pineapple. I don't know.
Okay, star fruit, which have no taste whatsoever, but they're in the shuk then. Those that you make the shechianu on. Okay, any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, the
pineapple
fruit has to be in its original form. If you're having it for the first time to make a shechianu.
No, if I cook it, I can make. If I cook, I don't know, if you cook mango, whatever, you can still make a shechianu on it. Or if you cook, you make, I don't know, duv devanim, you make a fruit soup with fresh duv devanim from the first season, you can make a shechianu on them as well. It doesn't have to be in its natural form. No.
Okay.
Yes,
Laura. I have
Laura.
a question. Yeah, no. A pineapple was mentioned. Isn't pineapple a hadama like a banana? Pineapples, aren't they hadama? Do you make a shechianu on a hadama?
Strawberries are hadama. We make a shechianu on them, right?
Okay.
Because it's a onati. So watermelon is a shechianu, and watermelon is a hadama. Same idea. So you can make a shechianu on a pineapple just as well as it's onati. It's according to the season. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So let's.
A question before we move on. I didn't hear what you had said about if you're having the fruit during the year, like what if you're having, say, like cherries and like the regular cherries, like the red cherries, and then white cherries come out? Do you say another shechianu, or they're just cherries even though they're different? They're like the red plums versus the yellow plums.
It's an excellent question. I didn't bring makarot on it. I think the point is really that once it's in the same mishpacha, it's one shechianu. Like cherries, whether they're green, or whether they're the yellow ones or the red ones, it's one shechianu. Plums, whether they're the green plums or the yellow plums or the shechianu. But for example, a nectarine versus a peach, those are two distinct fruits, even though they are similar, and therefore you would make a shechianu for each one on its own. There is a question about, someone raised their hand, I didn't notice. So I think that what's called, what is it called? It's have a different name, or it's from the same mishpacha. There was a question. Go ahead, whoever asked.
What about frozen fruit? If you have frozen, let's say peaches for the first time in the season.
I think it has to also be in the season. If I'm gonna eat them, if you haven't eaten your peaches at all and you froze them and you eat them in the middle of winter, the same way as cooked, you can make a shechianu on it. But if you ate them when they became ripe in the summer and then you froze them and you have them in the winter, you wouldn't make a new shechianu.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're almost done. Let's finish up. We have, I think, one or two, or I don't remember how many it was. Okay, go back to the point. So what do you do first? What do you make a bracha on first? Do you make the bracha the shechianu first, or do you make the Borei Pri Ha'etz first? So we already saw the opinion of the Pri Megadim that says first you make the shechianu and then you make the Borei Pri Ha'etz. Why? We explained before, because we already saw it. If the shechianu is dependent on seeing, so I'm benefiting from the shechianu, from enjoying the shechianu first, make the shechianu first, and then make the bracha on the pri. The Aruch HaShulchan, who we discussed, who he was last time, Rabbi Baruch Halevi Epstein, he writes, as what most people do, ha'olam nahagu levarech tchila habracha shal hapri. Most people are knowing to first make the bracha on the fruit, the Borei Pri Ha'etz, and then the shechianu. And what's the reason he gives? A famous rule. Tadir v'sheino tadir, tadir kodem. What does that mean? If you have something that's very common and something that's less common, so first you do the common thing and then you do the less common thing. We find this by, for example, Kriyat Torah. You have Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh. So what do you lane first? You lane first Shabbat. Why? Because Shabbat is Tadir, it's every week. Rosh Chodesh is only once a month. So therefore first lane Shabbat and then you lane Rosh Chodesh. Similarly, Aruch HaShulchan says you have fruits all year long, making ha'etz all year long, make the ha'etz first, and then make the shechianu. So what do you do? So the question, the answer that everybody loves, you can do really either one. Really, it seems to be a machloket in Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. Most of the Rabbanei Sfarad say first to make the bracha on the fruit and then make a shechianu. By the Ashkenazic rabbis, each one has their own minhag, and you can do whatever you like. Some say that it's better to make the shechianu first and then the Borei Pri Ha'etz second, because I want to have the bracha, Borei Pri Ha'etz, next to my eating it, as close as possible to my eating it. So there shouldn't be any hefsek. Others say that shechianu is not really part of the hefsek because it's part of the mitzvah of the bracha. So really, what do? You can do whatever you want to do. In this case, either one is correct. Not like when we saw by the seeing, where there was a preference to eating versus seeing, making the shechianu. Here, either one is an option, unless maybe if you're a Sfaradi, then you should probably make the shechianu second and the Borei Pri Ha'etz first. Questions? Any other questions? Everybody's so silent. Is it so clear?
Question.
Yes.
What about import? Can you only make shechianu on Israeli fruit? No, you should be able to say it on any new fruit. The question is, is there a difference eating the fruits in Eretz Yisrael or in the Chutz La'aretz? Meaning, if I've been in the States, I don't know, 3 months, and all the vegetables taste disgusting to me, and then I come back to Eretz Yisrael, and I eat my first cucumber, even though it's in season regularly, To me, it's a ma'adan. It tastes delicious. It's of Eretz Yisrael, a tomato. The tastes are incredible. Or if you're in Israel, if you're in the States and you eat a Jaffa orange, would you make a shechianu?
Yes, Rabbi, I have a question.
Excellent question. First of all, so I'll get out of the question by saying that we don't make shechianu on cucumbers and tomatoes in any case, because they're in the shuk all year long, right? They grow all year long. They're not seasonal. They're all season long, right? So
Even if you're in Chutz La'aretz,
yeah, well, it doesn't matter. The question be, if I had a mango made, let's say in, I don't know, California when I was in Chutz La'aretz, right? And then I came to Israel a few months later and had a mango
But I don't hear you.
from Israel, an Israeli mango, which of course tastes better because it has Kedusha, as opposed to the mangoes in Chutz La'aretz that don't have Kedusha and don't have those same taste buds that of Kedusha. So it seems to be it's a seasonal thing. So if it's the first fruits of the mango season in Israel, then you can make a shechianu on it, even if though you may ate a mango 2 months ago when you were in America, and then you had to be in bidud, of course, because you came back from America. But the point is, it goes back to the question really, where if you have a fruit that has a few seasons throughout the year, or you created a few seasons by traveling to different places or eating imported fruits. So therefore, so going back to the case of Jaffa oranges, right? If I ate a Jaffa orange in America, would I make a shech? If it's the first Jaffa orange that I've had from this year, from the season, I would make a shechianu. And then when I come a few months later and they're just picking the oranges off the trees, I can make a shechianu as well. So that's what it sounded, because it's a different season, a different climate, making it a different season. I don't know if was I clear? Yes? Tanya?
Yes, it's good. Thank you.
Someone's not
Rav Reuven,
Any other questions?
Yes, I just experienced something where I feel like making a shechianu. That's why I disappeared for a few minutes. We just got delivered to us papaya plants, 4 papaya plants. For medicinal reasons, I have been looking for papaya leaves for weeks and weeks, and it's been very difficult. And finally, I found the source. They were just delivered to the front door. There's no fruit on them yet. Papaya is the fruit. I don't even know if I like it. I don't know if I've even ever eaten it. But apparently the leaves, this plant will provide B'ezrat Hashem refuah for Mordechai. So I feel like making, I know we talked about this once, the emotional component, the personal component of a shechianu. Is it wacky to say it? Is it a bracha levatala to say it? Forget the wacky part.
What's the shecha for just getting it? But what's the hana'ah? The hana'ah is not from seeing it, from knowing that you have it.
And the tikva that it brings. Yeah.
I don't think it justifies
a
Semei Hashem, but definitely a tefillah, a parak of Tehillim. You know, if I tell you, say, if you got a medicine, okay, that this was supposed to help, I don't know, for whatever, cure something, right? You wouldn't make a shechianu on the medicine, right? You would just say, wow, Baruch Hashem, thank you, and, you know, feel a gratitude to Hashem for that, right? So there should be no difference between whether it's a medicine or a papaya plant in that sense.
True.
My understanding.
I hope and pray that it works, that it helps him. That's most important, right? That it should work, not only having it.
When we posed a similar question to Rav Riskin about something that in seeing it gives you so much joy, I don't want to quote, but my understanding in the that he gave in the name of Rav Soloveitchik, that you are permitted to say a shechianu if it's something that that raises you up to such a level of joy. And
it's clearly the point when it comes to clothing, when it comes to a car, all these things a person clearly makes them happy, and but the question is, what we'll have to deal with, we're going to deal with this next week. So I'm gonna go through it as well for next week. That it's very possible that I need some kind of benefit from it. In other words, having this car is a new car to drive around in is a joy. Having a plant, for example, which I hope it works, but I don't know if it's going to work. It's like I don't know. I'm not sure. But definitely what you're saying is correct, that if a person buys something that makes them happy, then they make a shechianu on that. Okay? Person, whether they get it or buy it, doesn't matter. Matana or buying it still makes them a shechianu. So the question that I have here really is, and I have to look into it, Shira, we'll look into it for next week, really, because that's going to be the focus of next week's Shira. What is the level of benefit or hana'ah that I have to have in order to make the shechianu? Okay, so that's really goes into. It could be that after learning all the sources for next week, I will agree. But at the moment, right now, without having gone through the whole sources, I'm hesitant to give a complete answer. Okay.
Isn't that hearing good news that perhaps it will be a refuah?
Once again, you just said it with perhaps. Okay, hearing a good news is someone who just heard they have a granddaughter. Okay, now that's a good news. Okay, that's not perhaps it's good news. Okay, somebody getting something that may help them. I don't know if that's really it's like, hopefully it will be good news, but at this moment, I can't say for sure that it's good news until I really know that it really works.
Okay.
Right? And the halacha by good news is brought in something that right now, it's objectively good news, and you know that, have for example, hearing a simcha or something, that is worthy of a shechianu. And we're going to have to go into, should a person make a shechianu on that, or that's going to be next week's shiur for the focus of it, okay? Yes. Who had a question?
Hi, Tid. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm new on Zoom. So I seem to recall that when people make aliyah, they say shechianu. Is that appropriate? We don't know if it's good news. We hope it's good news. No, but just that, that I arrived at this moment that I had the zchut to make aliyah.
Okay, I didn't make a shechianu in aliyah. It makes a lot of sense. Sense. I think it also will be connected to next week's shiur on and when we discuss good news and doing things, what is the parameters of that shechianu that we'll get into. So
what happened with the granddaughter? What about the granddaughter? Same story?
I think that we'll have to get into, because really the father or the mother, they make a shechianu. The question is, we'll have to get into if the grandparents warrant also a shechianu as well. I'm hesitant to give a complete answer until after next week's shiur. So I wish you many more smachot in the course of the week, right? And we should have the question. And God willing, we will answer all of these questions, I hope, for next week's shiur. That's the goal.
Thank you.
It definitely sounds like you make a shechianu for good news. That's what we learned in the beginning of the shiur. One of the things of shechianu is when you hear good news, you make a shechianu. Having a grandchild, a great-grandchild, is definitely good news. The question is the person yotze with the shechianu of the father and the mother, they make their own shechianu. That's a question. I don't have an answer at this second. I will have an answer, God willing, next week.
Toda rabah.
Wow, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah, it's like I'm making